The Biden administration facing growing criticism over its handling of the border crisis.
Of this administration, Brian, has eroded every successful tool and authority we had, and now they're shocked that we see a crisis at our southern border that's already here.
Former acting Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan slamming President Biden's immigration policies earlier this month. Ahead of Biden's meeting with Mexico President Obrador, he predicted that migrant surge that we saw in March. Mark Morgan joins us here live. He's a visiting fellow for the Heritage Foundation, and we do appreciate you taking the time. Mark, what's interesting in that clip, you saw what was coming, right? Tragically so. Of course, with these numbers that are coming in, and you see all these unaccompanied kids, they're housed together in quite unfortunate conditions, especially during a pandemic. But tell me about sort of the signs that were missed along the way to lead us to where we are right now.
Look, this is exactly what we should be talking about, because even before the election last November, we were out there saying the rhetoric during the Biden's campaign, if they did what they said they were going to do, they would create a crisis. After he won in November, look, Dee just provided a couple of hundred different briefings to the transition team. The overwhelming majority of those briefings centered around immigration. We told them, if you do what they've done, you would create crisis level numbers. Border Patrol facilities would be overwhelmed, HHS facilities would be overwhelmed, and you would create and drive a crisis that we see. They flat out ignored the experts. They chastised us. I mean, they vilified us, and they went ahead with their strategy right now, and look where we're at.
And where we're at, let's show our viewers the surge of migrants in March. March alone is shocking here. More than 160,000 apprehended, nearly 35,000 got away. Nearly in total, 200,000 just in the month of March here. You say that the Biden administration ignored the experts. Of course, these are the people who are on the ground. They know what's going on here. They know the effect this rhetoric could have on people who are trying to cross the border. Do you have any idea sort of the motivation as to why they would disregard these experts' advice?
Look, the only conclusion, I've been doing this for 35 years. I've served under 6 administrations, Republican and Democrat. This is not a right or left thing. This is an American thing. From a sovereign nation perspective, from a rule of law perspective, and from a law and order perspective, it makes no sense whatsoever. The only logical conclusion is they see a perceived political benefit by opening the borders. Look, either through the census and increased House seats, or they believe every illegal alien they give a pathway to citizenship is going to equate to a Democratic vote. That's the only conclusion that you can draw with respect to that. They would just open our borders and drive this crisis.
There's, of course, a high cost that comes with these policies, both, for immigrants making the trip and also, of course, people on the other side of the border in the United States here. You recently took a trip to the border. Could you tell us what you were able to see?
So that's exactly right. First of all, we saw what this administration has been working overtime to try to convince American people we're not seeing what we're actually seeing. Like you said, this month, over 170,000 in March of this year. You go back 12 months, that's over a 400% increase in the last 12 months. So first of all, it's not seasonal. But what we saw was the crisis that we've been saying is at the southwest border. We saw hundreds of families and unaccompanied minors just pouring in. Just one location. We're there for about an hour, and a steady stream just kept pouring in. And one thing that resonated with me, actually a couple things. One is we could have prevented this. Had they heeded our warnings and listened to experts, we could have prevented this. But really what I saw was we want to talk about inhumane and cruel, is that because our policies right now, our borders are open for families and unaccompanied minors, we're incentivizing people to risk their lives, to hand their children over to traffickers and smugglers to make the dangerous trek here. That's where we're at right now. That's what I saw last week.
Well, we have that video of the toddlers. Unfortunately, it's a smuggling video. It was caught on surveillance footage. Again, 2 young children being tossed over this border wall here. A lot of people were able to see this video, and thankfully it was captured on video because these children were assisted and taken care of here. But we might not have known that this is really happening at our border here. And then, of course, we've got, again, those brief images of what's happening inside these facilities as well. Media, press has not had access. But what you're seeing, for a Biden administration that promised humanity, these conditions just don't seem that way.
That's exactly right. Look, your viewers need to pay attention to this. And this is something, look, the Border Patrol, CBP as a whole, warned them, like I said, again and again. And now they're caught in this unmitigated crisis that they never wanted to be in. Last year, we had less than 800 in our facilities. Now they're over 10,000. It's unimaginable. The video you talked about. Hey, look, last week, the same time period, a 9-year-old girl drowned as her mother was trying to smuggle her across the Rio Grande River, and the coyotes left them to drown. And we could keep going on. More of these stories, these tragic stories, are going to happen as long as we incentivize and encourage illegal entry. And the only ones at the end of the day that benefit from this and get rich are the coyotes and the smuggling organizations. It's just horrendous.
And it's an issue that clearly needs to be addressed by someone from the top down. And it makes you wonder, where's President Biden? Where's Vice President Kamala Harris? She's also been appointed to sort of oversee the situation at the southern border. And Secretary Mayorkas as well. Have you had any sign or seen any signs that perhaps steps are being taken to address this crisis?
No, just the opposite. Look, we've and this does not bring me pleasure to say, but I've witnessed the Secretary Mayorkas again and again, not just give misinformation, but lie to the American people. He's made statements like our border is closed. That's a lie. Our border is secure. That's a lie. Look, they're experiencing 1,000 gotaways a day, and I'm being conservative. That means criminal aliens, rapists, murderers, pedophiles are getting through our southern border because so many resources are being pulled off to deal with the humanitarian side, to deal with families and unaccompanied minors. Look, putting the vice president as a border czar, that's like putting the coyote in charge of the hen house. Look, when she was senator, she called ICE KKK. She's advocated for decriminalizing people illegally enter the border, and it goes on and on. I'm actually okay if the vice president stays completely away from this issue. She'll just make it worse.
Very interesting. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, joining us here on National Report, giving us a clear perspective of what's happening there. That's Mark Morgan. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.